Good afternoon, Frederick community, and thank you for joining me today for an exciting announcement for the city and the Frederick Police Department. In early 2020, Ed Hargis announced his retirement as our Chief of Police. And following that announcement and the blunt arrival of COVID-19, the city launched its search for a new police chief in September of 2020. A search committee of community members held various community stakeholder meetings and engagement opportunities through November and narrowed the 35 applications to 7. A committee comprised of members of the city's leadership team continued the process, further narrowing the pool. After additional conversations with the candidates, I selected 2 finalists, and in early January, we held a finalist forum where each candidate had the opportunity to answer questions submitted by constituents and share more about themselves as a potential chief here in Frederick. Our finalists also hosted a discussion with the Fraternal Order of Police FSK Lodge 91. Since announcing this process, it was my goal to engage the community in this decision as much as possible. In addition to providing comments during public meetings, the community provided written feedback, including more than 680 responses to a community survey conducted by the External Search Committee, and more than 130 responses offering feedback following the finalist forum presentations. A survey was also conducted with the current members of the Frederick Police Department. I appreciate all who provided feedback and took an active part in this important hire for our community. After several months of interviews and discussion, plus a thorough background check, this morning I presented my selection for the city's Chief of Police to the Board of Aldermen. I'm excited to share that the Board of Aldermen approved the selection and appointment, and today I can introduce you to Jason Lando, the next Chief of Police for the City of Frederick. Lando comes to Frederick from the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police, where he has served the Pittsburgh community since 2000. Lando worked his way up from the ranks of officer to commander, serving as the commander in Zone 5 for 6 years, where he led over 100 officers. Most recently, as a commander in the investigations branch, he managed the Narcotics and Vice Division. In his role as commander, Lando worked collaboratively with officers and community members to change the perception of police in some of the most marginalized neighborhoods of the city. He was the catalyst behind several community programs, including Youth Connections, a comprehensive teen engagement program that paired youth with officers for one-on-one conversations and role reversal scenarios. Through the program, as well as several other initiatives, community cooperation with police increased, complaints dropped 40%, and crime dropped across most categories. Appointed by the Pittsburgh Chief of Police, Lando served as one of the Police Bureau's representatives in the National Initiative for Building Community Trust and Justice. As part of this effort, Lando was a lead trainer of the Procedural Justice Unit, where he developed and implemented trainings on procedural justice, de-escalation, and implicit bias for all 1,000 Pittsburgh police officers. This training program was then conducted with several community groups across Pittsburgh as well. Lando has led the implementation of the department's body-worn camera, Narcan, and less lethal weapons programs at Zone 5, all of which increased community safety and improved engagement with residents. Lando has been heavily involved in and committed to officer development. He worked closely with the Bureau's peer support team to support officer physical and mental well-being, and has been a leader in designing and implementing coaching, counseling, and mentoring training for all sergeants and lieutenants. Through conversations and engagement with those who know Jason Lando, it is clear he is a collaborative, transformational, and community-minded leader. He has been called a Pittsburgh community-wide leader on departmental training for procedural justice, and is noted by those he supervises as having strong ethics, a strong sense of empathy, and an unwavering commitment to the community. His commitment to procedural justice, officer training, officer well-being, work with community programs, including co-responder efforts and youth engagement priorities, are just a few of the reasons why I am confident Jason Lando will be an excellent addition to our already high-performing police department. I now would like to invite Chief Lando to the podium to share a few words.
Thank you, Mayor. It is an honor to be selected as the next Chief of Police for the City of Frederick. While I may not be from here originally, starting today, I call Frederick home. I've had an opportunity to visit Frederick on a number of occasions, and I've enjoyed getting to know the city better with each visit. I'm excited to become a part of this community and learn more about the opportunities and the challenges that lie ahead. To the residents of Frederick, it is my goal to build relationships rooted in trust and transparency with the many diverse community groups throughout the city. I've seen firsthand the amazing things that can be accomplished when police and residents work together. I've never been one to simply sit behind a desk, and I look forward to getting out into Frederick's neighborhoods so I can get to know you personally. Your voice is important in determining how we police and I look forward to hearing from you. To the men and women of the Frederick Police Department, this organization has an exceptional reputation, and I'm excited to work alongside each of you as we look for new and innovative ways to protect and serve the residents of Frederick. The policing profession has changed dramatically over the past several years, and we must be willing to embrace that change. From issues surrounding substance abuse to mental health to officer wellness and peer support, there are endless opportunities to ensure FPD remains a leader in the policing profession. You should be proud of the work you have already done towards making the Frederick Police Department a first-class organization, and I look forward to supporting you in making it even better. Finally, to Mayor O'Connor and the Board of Aldermen, thank you for putting your trust and faith in me to lead the men and women of the Frederick Police Department. I'm ready to get to work, and I promise I will not let you down. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. The Frederick Police Department is one of the most highly regarded police forces in the region. And over the last year, and despite unimaginable challenges, our officers have remained steadfast in their service and commitment to the Frederick community. Thank you to our entire department for protecting the life, health, and safety of our residents and being a true community partner. I also want to take a moment to thank Acting Chief Dwight Summers, retired Chief Patrick Grossman, for their tireless work and leadership, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. And as we welcome Chief Lando officially on March 8th, I'm eager to introduce him to the community. I look forward to the community's collaboration as Chief Lando learns more about Frederick and working with him directly to serve you, the constituents of the city of Frederick. I'm now happy to take questions from any of the members of the media that are here with us today.
Hi, thank you. Mary Grace Keller from the Frederick News Post. Wanted to ask the new chief, what's your first goal or first action item you want to take when you start the job?
Thank you. Obviously, my first goal, I think, is, and the most important thing, especially coming from the outside, is to start building those important relationships, both in the community and with officers. So from day one, I'll definitely be leaning on the current staff in the police department, Acting Chief Summers, as well as the mayor's staff, to help get me introduced around town and to the officers, so we can start really getting to understand each other's needs and challenges and go from there. So I think relationship building is really the first step for me.
I wanted to ask the mayor why this candidate stood out and what kind of chief you believe that the city needs right now.
I think what really stood out is that sense of collaboration and a level of what I'll call warmth and empathy and humility that we've seen a lot over the last year in conversations about police-community relations, that having a police chief who really is relatable in the community is critical as we try and build better relationships with marginalized communities in Frederick. And so what really stood out to me in my interpersonal conversations that I had the opportunity to have with Jason through this process is what he exudes in those areas. And I'm just really excited about what he brings to the table in that regard, and what he brings that's been shaped by his experiences in Pittsburgh and the work that he's already done in many of these areas already. So that experience of working in one of the more challenging zones in the city of Pittsburgh, and to have a really strong hand in leading the precinct to turn those relationships around. While we don't need all of that here in Frederick, we can always work harder to make the relationships we have stronger and better, and that's going to be good for every neighborhood in our city. Thank you. Are there any other questions? Well, again, thank you all very much for being a part of this today. We look forward to introducing in appropriately masked and distanced ways Jason Lando to the Frederick community after he starts on March the 8th. Thank you all very much.